welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money features Perfect Transformation. And continuing that dialogue, we're going to be focusing on healthy living. And today's subject matter is going to be keys to healthy living with my collaborator and wonderfully brilliant guest, host, co-host, whatever title you want to put on it. I don't have an issue with any of that. Dr. Rick Howard, who is a nationally known naturopathic doctor. There are two types of doctors out here today. The one that you're most familiar with probably today is what we call an allopathic doctor. These are doctors who are trained on the use of synthetic drugs and medicines and surgery to facilitate some kind of life. But this had been more common in the last, I would say, 50 years. Prior to that, men of Dr. Howard's genre and women were pretty much the standard, which is to use herbs and take a holistic, natural approach to living. And I'm pleased to say, viewers, that the pendulum has begun to swing back slowly. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to accelerate because people are dying and sick in ways that our grandparents and great-grandparents couldn't even imagine. So we are there. But today, again, we're going to be focusing on, for the next hour, keys to healthy living. I personally believe that it is entirely possible, once you've made a decision, this gets back into transformation. Once you have considered all of the evidence and you looked at yourself, you can make a decision that I want to live out my life healthy. I don't want to be arthritic, sick, cancer-ridden, heart problems, all these things. This is not how I want to live out my life. And only you, I can't do it for you. Only you can make those decisions to live that way. But I bear witness, I'm just going to tell you, I bear witness that your life can be vibrant and vivacious and you can look good. The mirror will not be your enemy. The mirror will be your joyous friend. And your body will not look crazy. Your body will look healthy and fit. So today we're going to be talking about keys to healthy living. And I hope that at the conclusion of the show, you will have a revelation, epiphany, bingo! This can happen for me because nobody else can make it happen for you unless you do. How are you, my friend?
Good.
Good to see you again. Good to see you again. Where do we want to begin with this?
Well, I think as you were talking, there was something that you said that just kind of rang in my ears.
Okay, what is that?
You kept saying it, healthy living, healthy living.
Right.
And really, if you just took it down all the way down to the basic things.
Okay.
Is what you're doing about life? People would, if you had to answer that question, why are you smoking? Is that about life or is that about death? And really, like you said, it's your decision, but nobody can live a healthy life for you.
Nobody.
Nobody can.
Nobody.
And you cannot take the paradigm that giving yourself a bunch of this pill, that pill, this pill, that pill can somehow or another make you live a whole and healthy life. That just doesn't. You weren't born missing metropolol in your system, so you needed some.
Right.
You see?
Right.
So I think it comes down to, again, and last time we alluded to this, but I'll just say this today. We live in a world that has a lot of stories. I mean, we are uniquely built to listen to stories, okay? So there's stories about how life began. There's stories about how life it will end, right? There's stories about whether or not there's a purpose to your life or whatever. And we have to answer those questions for ourselves because that's what gives us the trajectory to how we live.
Right.
Okay? Once you decided, hey, I don't want to deal with kidney problems, I don't want to deal with eczema, whatever it is.
No, done.
Then you decide that decision pushes you forward. But there are so many things, I mean, probably the one true thing we can say for everybody, and no one would argue, is we live in a toxic world.
Yeah, on every level.
On every level. Toxic relationships, toxic food, toxic medicines, toxic everything. So how can you live a good life? What do you need to understand to live a clean and healthy life in a toxic world and toxic environment? That can seem like 1,000 different things. You got,
well,
don't do this.
It can be.
Don't do that.
It can be.
Do this. Don't do that. Oh, they said do this. They said don't do that. So what I did was I put everything that we're trying to do down to 7 things.
7 things. You were able to crystallize this into 7 things.
7 things.
Okay.
What if you didn't have to remember 1,000 different things? You just remembered 7 things that you need.
That's easier than 1,000.
That's easier than 1,000. And I'm not being facetious. I do think that these 7 things, once you look at that paradigm, it gives you a sense of a roadmap. You know how you can see you are here, and then it tells you go to here next. Well, this is that. And I'll say those things, and I know we're going to put them on the screen at some point, but those 7 things, number 1 is balance, okay? You want to live a balanced life. And that
Now, wait a minute. What do you mean by that?
Well,
and is that interpretive?
It can be for some people.
Okay, I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out here.
But I think in the just the simplest terms, everybody is trying to find their balance. Balanced blood pressure, balanced blood sugar, balanced cholesterol. Everything is looking for a balance.
Okay.
So what will you do if you're falling? Then you're going to try to catch yourself and steady yourself. So really, we're trying to help people learn to live in a balanced way. So you won't in any way, emotionally, mentally, physically, be off balance.
Okay.
Okay. So that means if your job requires you to work 24 hours a day, that's not a good balance.
At all.
At all. See, because that does things to you emotionally, physiologically, and you won't have any time for relationships, so that's unbalanced too, right? So the second thing is circulation, which means physically your blood has to circulate. If I'm sitting all the time and I'm not moving, then my blood is not circulating.
Okay.
It puts additional stress. Do you realize that? Sitting puts additional stress on your heart more than just moving.
Than moving. I know that.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
But I do know that as people age, it becomes less and less of a desire and interest to move.
And that's really more so because of your habits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Habits.
See,
okay.
my habits propel me forward to circulate. But if I stop, then I rust in place.
Whew, rust in place. Did you all hear that? Rust in place.
Yeah, we tend to rust in place because we get in a habit of sitting. When I come home, I'm gonna
lazy boy. Clicker, click, 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 TV.
You know what? You remember years ago, you would have to get up to move to change the channel.
Yes, yes, yeah, and now that seems so archaic.
Yeah, that's archaic.
I mean, it really does. Like, why would you have to get up and turn the dial?
If you had to get up to turn the television, you probably say, oh, forget it.
Forget it.
Right?
I'm
now
going to
you
sleep.
got the channel guide. And
Right,
you
right.
can search 1,000.
Right. No more TV guide.
Yeah,
That's all.
bad.
Yeah.
So you have to circulate.
Okay.
That is important. And I'm going to come back to these things. The third is digestion and metabolism. Broadly, you're going to hear a lot of things, right? But it's not yours until you digest it. You make it a part of your life.
Okay.
The same thing is with food. The more liquid your food gets, probably the worse it is for you. And I know people say, oh, I juice,
yeah, they do.
juice.
Smoothies and juices.
But here's the thing. Digestion begins in the mouth.
Right.
Okay?
Mastication.
So if you're not chewing, the more you just tend to swallow it, you don't signal the body to release the digestive enzymes. Ptyalin is one of the first things with a P. It starts with a P. Ptyalin is released in the mouth only when you chew.
Only when you chew.
Only when you chew. So
if you drink, I mean, this is big.
It is.
Smoothies.
Smoothies.
With fiber.
Yeah.
Healthy alternative to a bad breakfast.
Right.
Or a lunch that's a smoothie.
Right. So if you drink, let's say, an orange juice and eggs and piece of toast.
Okay.
Those are conflicting.
Okay. Tell me more.
Because your body takes cues from what you eat, how it should process that, and what it should release to process it. So the orange juice, carbohydrate,
yes,
ptyalin is needed. But if you were to eat something that's acidic, highly acidic, that's sour, then your body stops processing the orange juice and goes to processing the other. And so that just goes in your stomach
and sits.
And then it rots.
And then it turns acidic.
So now you've got balance, you've got circulation, you've got digestion and metabolism. The fourth is movement.
Okay.
That's the pinnacle because, I mean, in terms of what you're trying to do is move. How do you know somebody is living?
They have to move.
They're up and moving.
Right.
If your heart's not moving, your lungs aren't moving, they say,
you aren't moving.
You're dead, right? You're dead.
Right.
So the whole thing, though, people don't realize, moving actually promotes life itself. The blood is pushed by the heart. Okay.
Correct.
But the waste that has to get out of your system, your lungs, they don't have that push. So the only way that it's pushed out is the diaphragm when you exercise. That is the heart of the lymphatic system.
Pushing out
toxins. So if you're not moving, you're letting the toxins stay, and it just
ultimately will take you out of here.
You rust.
Because
that literally creates cellular oxidation. So literally, if you're not moving, you're rusting, so to speak.
You know, that is absolutely amazing. So in that rust process, is there a release of what we call free radicals? Is that what happens?
Exactly.
Okay.
So now get this.
Okay.
When you're moving, you're circulating oxygen. Because what happens when you're running? So I'm putting in oxygen to replace spent oxygen cells.
Okay.
So when I don't do that, those things oxidize and it's cellular
destroy
rust.
cells.
Right.
And cause aging, cellular aging.
It sets you up for cancer.
Oh my God.
We talked about last time, and it doesn't, more importantly, remove the waste from your body.
Okay.
Because when you're running, it causes your bowels to move the food. Your kidneys will produce more urine. Your blood pressure will normalize. You know, it'll go up and then down. There's this process called hormesis, that the more you give that good stress,
Okay.
there was a book came out in the 50s that was beautiful. It was, I don't want to get deep into it, but he describes what, that's where everybody got the term stress from. And he termed another thing eustress. That's EU, stress, eustress. So eustress is the good stress. Distress
is the bad
stress.
That's good to know. And I want to
way.
explore that more, this whole stress thing, but I want to go through the other
Yeah,
talking
so
points.
so you've got balance, circulation, digestion, metabolism, then movement.
Right.
Then when you start moving, what's happening?
Respiration.
Respiration.
Right, respiration.
Okay, now literally, respiration is the whole purpose. People think, well, I got to breathe to live. No, you got to take the waste out to make room for the oxygen to come in so that you can live. Because if you don't get that waste out, then your body has less capacity to use oxygen. So really, respiration is a waste elimination process, okay? And it happens on the cellular level as well. They call that cellular respiration, where your body takes in nutrients. See, you're digesting.
Yes, right.
And then your body circulates oxygen and nutrients to the cell. They call this cellular respiration. Well, the same thing happens on the macro. As you exercise, but if you're not exercising, you don't have the capacity
to
do it. You see it? So now when you walk up steps,
it's the problem.
Hold on a minute.
Right, you have to. I'm trying to get those
because
steps.
you don't have capacity. You haven't gotten rid of the waste.
Oh.
So now your body doesn't have. But if you're running a mile,
no big deal.
Walking up the steps,
right.
I'm gonna run two at a time.
Right.
Because I have the capacity. Now, after that, so you've got movement, you've got respiration, then you have restoration. Because now my moving has said, oh, I need more nutrients, I need more stuff, so I'm moving stuff out of my body. Now I've got to replace it because nature abhors a vacuum.
Yes.
I've used up my resources.
So fill it back up.
So fill it back up. So the body calls for sugar, which is the fuel for the muscle and all that. But then it starts restoring.
Let me just clarify.
Yeah.
Viewers, when he said sugar, he's not talking about white cane sugar.
No,
Would
we're
you
not.
give?
Good
Yeah. Because people are like, oh, I love sugar, and now he says my body needs it. No
donuts.
No donuts. Okay.
Yeah, that's good because we're talking about glucose.
Right. Okay. Give them clarity.
Your body there's 3 types of sugars in foods and whole foods. And so glucose is the preferred fuel for your body.
Right.
Okay? There's a lot of argument going on around about that. But everybody has to admit glucose is the preferred fuel for the brain. In fact, it's the only fuel for the brain. It's the fuel for the muscles, and your body metabolizes this. Now, if you don't get inadequate fuel, glucose, your body will take protein.
But it doesn't want to.
It doesn't want to, and that's not really, it doesn't really use protein.
Yeah.
It just transforms, and this is called gluconeogenesis. They transform the protein into glucose.
Now that I did not know.
With a lot of spare parts.
Okay, because I was like, it's going to take a protein molecule and convert
it
to a glucose.
To glucose.
The human body is unbelievable.
Gluconeogenesis. And that whole process, it leaves a lot of scraps. Okay? And that's what causes waste. Anytime you process protein, there's only 3 foods: carbohydrates, proteins, lipids,
And lipids.
fats.
Yep.
Okay? So your body wants to use carbohydrate.
Right, it's efficient and
It
fast
will
burning.
use proteins if it needs to. It says,
And
okay.
fats.
And then if you're in a starvation mode, okay, you don't quite have to be on a desert island, but
Yes.
okay, you're in a starvation mode where you haven't eaten for a long time, then your body will take fats and convert fats to that, but it produces another waste called ketones. Okay, and these things can build up in your body and become very toxic to your body. So proteins, making sugar from proteins causes waste.
Right.
Uric acid and urea, making glucose from fats will cause a lot of waste called ketones. Okay, so you've heard of ketoacidosis.
Oh, yes.
And,
Oh, yeah.
You know, ketosis and all of that. So these things. So why am I going through all these?
No, this is important because I
yeah.
didn't know. I will tell you right now, I did not. When you look at a person's body, particularly in the Western world, and there's no longer a waist.
Right, right.
And I was like,
it's wasted away.
It's